Okay. Our technical team, we are going to play the 3 chorus of the EAC anthem. Then later on, it will be followed by the prayers, the parliamentary prayer. Honorable colleagues, it's time to stand up, and then we have our EAC anthem. Uzalendo pia mshikamano, iwe msingi wa umoja wetu. Tulinda uhuru na amani, mila zetu na desturi zetu. Tuombe nayo sote tulinde, tuajiri wema, tulimari pema. Umoja wetu, kigusa yetu,
jumuiya yetu. Ni wandani na tamasha mwali, tufanye kazi sote kwa makini, tujitoe kwa ina mali, tulijenge jumuiya bora. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuimarike.
Thank you, honorable members. You can now sit, and I ask Honorable Caroline, Honorable Francine, to give us a word of prayers.
Thank you, Honorable Moderator. Let's humble ourselves and pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and good appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society, good of all human lives upon it, and the just government of its people, we beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom we have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this region and of those whose interest you have committed to us. Amen.
Thank you, Honorable Caroline. Honorable Francine, you know, this motion of the morning, it is still in my head. Sorry for that, my sister and my co-chair. Honorable Francine is co-moderator. We are co-moderating. So that now, today, I will be conversant with my co-moderator, and it will not be difficult. Thank you. Our able clerk, please welcome to this forum. We have asked you to come and grace our sitting this afternoon, and thank you for turning up. Honorable colleagues, you are welcome to this afternoon session that we are going to have with AFSA. Our visitors from the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, AFSA, Madame Roos, the team leader, and then Thomas Leiser Roos is from Uganda, the team leader, and then Thomas Leiser from the United Republic of Tanzania, and then Lisa Shanhal from Rwanda, and then Rachel Momo from Pelham in Kenya, different organization. Our sister from Rwanda is from an organization called RAM. And then Ruth is Chinawakuta. the name of the one for Tanzania is Chinawakuta. Okay. And then Kalinaki Naume from ESAF, Uganda, and then David Kabanda from Uganda, and then Dorian James from Chiwakuta from Tanzania, I think. Then Shadia Mutoni, AFSA Uganda. So these are members of AFSA. AFSA is a coalition of many organizations in Africa, and the umbrella is AFSA. So they have constituencies, constituent membership of different organizations. You are highly welcome, and I know Dr. Million, the general coordinator, will speak to us via virtual connection, and the other presenter. I hope you will give her the name. So without further ado, I want to appreciate our staff who have been spending night with us in all these activities we are doing, together with the Office of the Clerk, that they have enabled us to come for this gathering. I would want first to, before we start with the speech or just brief remarks by myself and Honorable Francine, who are also co-moderators, I want to welcome our clerk to give his opening remarks so that he can attend to other activities in our parliament. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Clerk.
The chairpersons of the EALA committees, members of the Assembly, our strategic partners, AFSA, good afternoon. I'm privileged and honored to be before you on this important occasion when you are having your session on cross-border trade in agroecological products. I would like to thank AFSA for partnering with EALA over the years and helping members build the capacity. Members of Parliament are aligned to representing people. Society has yourselves as the members and the people you represent. Food and nutrition are important aspects of any society. If you have a well-nourished society, a healthy population, you will have harmony in that society. The lack of which creates disharmony and acrimony. It is on this that I stand to thank our strategic partners that what you have done with EALA over the years is so important and valuable to the work of our members. What have you brought to EALA over the years? Number one, our Agriculture Committee has the best resource persons you can ever find in any regional parliament, and that is thanks to your work. We have had a number of resolutions before this House on food, on climate change, on market access, all because of the work you do. But why do you exist, and for what reasons do we endear ourselves to the work of AFSA and the work of the parliamentarians? You are looking towards improved quality of the foods that we consume. How are we able to harness the benefits of strategic investment in food production? And you have rightly included in your concept note that you have an all-inclusive approach to foods. You are talking about crops, you are talking about pastoral farming, you are talking about forestry, apiary, fish farming, among others. What are we as think tanks, both yourselves in AFSA and at EALA, what are we able to get out of teaming up to help the millions of people around our community? East Africa now has a population, and a growing population indeed, of over 332 million people. How do we nourish them? How do we improve their quality of life? As members of the assembly, we should always be open to improve the leverage we have within our purview of work. We are the legislators. The population, strategic partners are looking to us to come up with the relevant laws to improve, say, market access, to improve our climate environment, to enhance coordination amongst partner states, both intra and inter, so that we have a kind of seamless approach to delivering for our populations. Coming specific to our agenda today, that is on cross-border trade. We have to look at, number one, that there are several challenges faced with market access, NTBs, in a growing community and with borders and border controls. There is bound to be challenges. Challenges of laws. Are we able to harmonize the laws or approximate them at least? Challenges of standards. Are we able to agree on the standards from one border to another? Are we able to resolve issues of NTBs? Once we do this, market access is a higher possibility. Number two, the complexity of laws. We have protectionism and we have partnerships in a community. To what level of control can we aspire to? Or should we remove some of the protectionist policies? The complexities of these laws, can we simplify them for the population, for people, for members, for representatives to be able to understand them more clearly? Are we able to disseminate these laws further than on shelves? If we address those, some of the complexities will be removed. To what level can we conform to those standards which are coming up as we aspire to enhance market access or cross-border agroecology? Three, every partner state has different assessment levels. Can we create a uniformity in assessment so that we are able to have a seamless understanding on assessment levels, the percentages? Can we agree on the same percent that if there is a percentage aspect of an agroecological item from this country, can it be the same across the region? You would have addressed some of these. Currency fluctuations are a big challenge in order to determine aspects of conformity or aspects of assessment. As East Africa and as parliamentarians, to what extent can you advocate for single currency so that value is not lost within the cross-border aspect? Documentation is also a big challenge on cross-border agroecology. Can we have documentation maybe in this aspect, I'll look at a French version translated to an English version, because East Africa is of 8 partner states, and we have the Francophones and Anglophones. Can we help East Africans to have similar documentation? We have delays in the distribution chain. Cross-border trade, cross-border agroecology, cross-border movements require improved times. Are we going to have traffic jams at the borders that we are not able to supply in time across only just 200 meters? What happens to the delays this side? Can we as legislators look at that? We have tariffs now becoming an issue. How about tariffs? How do we address them? Therefore, you as members, take this opportunity to look at all these aspects, ask the questions that you need to ask about agroecology, help the community enhance its livelihood support, help East Africans to get to all the good policies. They should benefit East Africans. We are part of the several organizations that are part of the AFSA movement. And therefore, you as members, take this opportunity, listen carefully, address the issues, ask the most relevant questions, however basic they are. You may understand something, but you may need an enhanced perspective. In this way, you will be doing justice to the next 2 days. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for very insightful remarks. You have taken us across the most crucial agendas that we are trying to tackle in East African community, and have acknowledged the valuable contribution and partnership that we have had for the last few years with AFSA and other. We are grateful that you acknowledge this, so that also our partners would be able to know that EALA takes matters of food and nutrition very seriously, because this is life. This is high time now to invite my colleague, the co-moderator, but also the co-presenter in this engagement that we are having up to tomorrow, Honorable Francine. You can give few remarks, and then after that we can continue now with our presentation. I'll just give a few, and then we invite the presentation.
Honorable members, distinguished guests and partners who are with us this afternoon and tomorrow, it's a great pleasure to have you as members of Parliament, the East African Legislative Assembly, and especially appreciation from the committees, the one chaired by my co-chair, Honorable Gideon, and also the CTI Committee, Communication, Trade and Investment, because here we are talking about agroecology in cross-border trade. I don't have much to say now. It's just to express my appreciation as the chair of the committee for being provided this opportunity to learn. In EALA, we are saying we are We are here to serve our community. We are representing the people of the community. We are representing our citizens, and we all know that the higher percentage of our citizens are living their lives are based on agriculture. And now here we are talking about agriculture, but we are talking about agroeconomy for them to grow, for the development of our region. When we are talking about trade in the community, the East African community is well guided by various legal frameworks. And I'm sure if we go through them and we try to make efficient enforcement on the ground, and such enforcement which is now linking our people, linking our farmers to the legal framework that they have for them to be, the cross-border trade is one of the tools which is now guiding the integration. We are talking about one people, one destiny, but we know that the trade is the one that among the tools which are driving this integration under trade. So we are saying here we are learning. The CTI committee is especially in the trade theories, but now this opportunity is offering us a link between that framework of theories in trade, but now linked to the agroecology. And agroecology is also linking to those we are saying SPS. SPS, what does it mean? It's that sanitary and phytosanitary measures, which are now ensuring the safety and the health when we are talking about trade. So I am now expecting at the end of this capacity building, members of the committee on trade to be able now to link our theories in trade, in business, but how do we ensure that the cross-border trade we are doing, and we all know that the most of the products which are under cross-border trade are under agriculture. How do we ensure that the movement of our goods, the movement of those products, agroecology is now at an advanced stage for us to make sure that we are now moving with health, we are moving with money, but also we are moving with whatever is helping our people to live in an environment which is now leading to a life which is healthy. So I don't want to take much. We are here to learn. We are here to listen, but also we are here to make some recommendations which will guide our future engagement under the Trade Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This is our remarks, me and you, because you have done it for us, because we have to maintain time now. I will now give my remarks in the closing, at the closing tomorrow. So this time, honorable colleagues, we need to invite our presenters. Ruth, if the presentation is ready, we are ready to receive the presentation. Thank you. Please come here, Ruth. Yeah. So we can start with the first presentation, which is online. Please go ahead.
Is that me supposed to begin, honorable members? Okay. Am I the one supposed to start, honorable members? I need some guidance. Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead with presentation.
Thank you so much, honorable members. Maybe just briefly, my name is Africa Chiza, and I'm consulting with the AFSA on agricultural trade in the East African community. You will forgive me, my bandwidth is a bit shaky, so I invite you to follow the slides in case I kind of freeze in terms of my audio. So AFSA undertook a study on the ecosystem, the policies and institutions that are supporting agroecology trade across the region. And today I wish to share some of the findings that we got from the study, but also the numerous engagements that we've had since then after the study was conducted. We have had field visits, we've had capacity trainings and engagements at national level with traders, with the policymakers. And these are the issues that I'll be presenting that we have documented over the engagements that we've had. So we took note that we commend the East African community, including organs like EALA, which have really dedicated much to advance intra-regional trade through enacting enabling policies like the East African Common Market Protocol, like the elimination of NTBs Act, and others really. And these policies include the relevant institutions have been geared to achieving an aspiration. The aspiration of increasing intra-EAC trade from 15% to 40% by 2030. Now, with majority over 70% of
We can't hear you.
if supported, could support the realization of the aspiration to increase our current low share of trade of 15% to 40% by 2030. Nevertheless, like the clerk and the other honorable members have mentioned in their opening remarks, even amidst this aspiration, there are challenges that limit or inhibit intra-EAC trade in agroecological produce. These challenges, we are going to be looking at them in the subsequent slides. So again, we note that agroecology is very important if we are to liberate our food systems as Africa. So you find that, for example, Africa has the highest dependence in terms of food. Every year we import 50 billion of food, US dollars. That is too much. And yet, not forget that we are home to over 60% of arable land in the world. Even though we have the highest concentration of arable land, we import 50 billion per year of food. We import fertilizer. In 2024, we imported 9.2 billion US dollars of fertilizer. Not to mention pesticides, 3.4 billion in 2023. Now, because our agroecology preaches reduction in inputs like synthetic fertilizers, like synthetic pesticides, we feel that it is one of the mechanisms that can help in liberating our food systems. So in our methodology, we conducted in terms of understanding the ecosystem of how are these agroecological products being traded. We even have to ask ourselves, do we have agroecological products anyway? Are they present? Do we have them? Are we having agroecology being practiced? So that was a very important question because there are close to 12 principles of agroecology, and my colleague Ruth will talk about them. Of these principles, we noted that it would be fine if we say for a product to be regarded as agroecological, it should meet at least 5 of the 12 principles. But there were principles we could not compromise on. For example, principles of reduced or zero input, zero utilization.
Are we together or your network has problem?
Yeah, I have a network issue. So I'll try to really ask that you bear with me. So we looked at 4 countries: Kenya, Uganda, DRC, Rwanda, and Tanzania. And out of these countries, we focused on borders where there is a concentration of trade in these products. We had Busia, Mpondwe, Namanga, that is for Kenya and Tanzania, and Rusumo for Rwanda and Tanzania. On each border, we interviewed 35 participants, and those were in total 140 respondents. The categories we looked at: market leaders in territorial markets, the entrepreneurs who are agroecological, and the farmers, including policymakers, those that are at customs, those that do standards, and those that do legislation. So our findings, honorable members, if you can't hear me or if there is laxity in the audio output, I beg your indulgence that you just look at the screen here. So on each border, we saw that, for example, at Busia, and this table is important to build a case for agroecological products. On Busia, we noted the top 3 products that were traded that we could call agroecological were maize, beans, and sorghum. And again, when you look at, let us note that this is just a composition of 35 traders and farmers that we interviewed, because we did a product cycle tracing. So we went to traders in Busia, and then they referred us to their areas where they are outsourcing these products, and we followed up to the farm level. So these figures are just for a mere 35 participants on each border. And out of these 35 people that we interviewed, traders that we interviewed, you find that, for example, maize every year, they produce 1 million tons of maize. And the value is 400,000 US dollars. When you compare with the overall maize that is traded between Uganda and Kenya, it is 59 million US dollars. So when you now get the total maize traded and you divide it by the value of agroecological maize, you just get 0.7% of national trade of agroecological maize. But why are we having 0.7%? Because this is just our estimate of the 35 traders only. And this is just one border. So the figures here really show, like you look at sorghum, it is 6.9%. You look at beans at Mpondwe, it is 12%. You look at avocado in Namanga, it's at 7%. The issue here is that if we were to increase the scope of, let's say, if we are, let's say, to interview and sample 1 million farmers, there would be a very big case of agroecological produce happening in the region. But also to note that these national figures, the one with national trade volume, for example, for maize on Busia, 59%, these figures are also captured, that government has, are also capturing agroecological products, because there is double counting by government. Why? Because government on customs does not currently have a mechanism that separates agroecological products and non-agroecological. So this table is basically to show us that if the 35 participants on each border could show that, could give us these figures, there is a very big profile of agroecological products and trade happening in the region. So we then scaled up the policy ecosystem. We said, okay, we see that there is trade happening and agroecological products are on the rise in terms of their trade. But how is the policy ecosystem? What are the policies? Are these policies supportive or not? And to me, this is where I think our honorable members of EALA, you were very helpful on this. The first one is the African Continental Free Trade Area. It's a very important policy framework at the continental level, but it has provisions which our findings noted kind of undermine local seeds, undermine agricultural products. Take an example under rules of origin. They have allowed for, let's say, a country like Tanzania can now procure maize seed from Argentina or from Mexico, and then when it plants that maize, it is allowed to, and then harvests the maize. Tanzania will be allowed to export that maize to other African countries at duty-free, because that maize will now be regarded as wholly obtained from the EAC or from Tanzania. But the challenge here is, while we still have a high seed import seeds. Sorry about my internet. But also on the AFCFTA, we find that the 97% liberalization that we have committed to gradually is inhibiting, because it has not put safeguards for small-scale actors, especially traders and farmers in territorial markets. So what do we do here, honorable members? I feel EALA has a very important duty here. Now that we are having the AFCFTA being reviewed, EALA needs to call for an examination of the AFCFTA and its implications on small-scale farmers, on agricultural produce, but also on territorial markets, the traders that the SMEs in territorial markets, in order to make the AFCFTA work for these actors. At the East African community, when we examined the policies, we saw EALA has done a commendable job together with the ES Secretariat in putting in place enabling policies that can support agricultural products trade. For example, the ES Regional Payment System Master Plan, which could actually potentially address the challenge of multiplicity of currencies that many cross-border traders often face. It was interesting that a trader tells you, I just crossed from Rusumo, the Rwandan side, with my Rwandan francs into Tanzania, and my Rwandan francs automatically lose value in terms of exchange challenges. But the East African community, through EALA and the ESC Secretariat, have developed a system, a regional payment system master plan, that would help in supporting cross-border transactions without going into exchange differences. So this could help, because multiplicity of currencies and exchange losses is a non-tariff barrier that has been really hindering trade. Also, we have the common external tariff, where, for example, partner states at the EAC level have put a cap to inhibit importation of some products like maize and maize flour by putting it at a rate of 50%. So if you are importing maize or maize flour outside the East African community outside Africa, you are now having to pay 50% import duty. Issues like yogurt, milk, cheese. So there are products that really East African community under the common external tariff has protected. And ideally, this protects the products from cheap and often non-agricultural or imports. But then, honorable members, even with those policies, there are still inhibiting policies. The first one is the East African Community Customs Management Act of 2021. In order to implement the simplified trading regime, so the simplified trading regime was established to support the mamambogas, the small-scale traders, those that have a consignment below 2,000 US dollars. They are able to trade their products without going through formal processes. So that's why it was put in place. But the challenge is that even when they established trade information desk officers under the STR, these TIDOs are supposed to support mamambogas on the right channels to use in order to access the cross-border markets formally. However, the TIDOs, the Trade Information Desk Officers, are not recognized in the EAC Customs Management Act. In other words, their lack of recognition means, honorable members, that these TIDOs do not have a budget. They don't have a working budget. And this inhibits their role that they would play in assisting small-scale traders to navigate the customs requirements on the borders. Also, our EAC Industrialization Master Plan has challenges. In terms of its focus, it's really about prioritizing large-scale, export-oriented industrial growth. And we believe that that has a challenge because its orientation is less agroecological, and we might have agricultural actors being sidelined. We then also looked at the national level. What I remember is, allow me not to go through this so much, but just to say at the national level, for example, for Uganda, we have also policies which are enabling of agroecology. For example, Uganda is developing an agroecology strategy.
We have lost you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me
Let's
now?
continue.
Oh, thank you. Pole sana. So you find that these national policies are conflicting. Uganda has the agriculture strategy, but when you look at the agro-industrialization program and the genetic bill, which is looking at promoting GMOs, again, that conflicts with agroecology. Hata na Kenya. Kenya unakuta kwamba they have one of the first countries to put in place an agroecology policy strategy, but then Kenya has one of the most punitive policies, the Seed and Plant Varieties Act of 2012, where actually it is criminal for farmers to, if they use uncertified or unregistered seeds. So again, you find that it is kind of conflicting. with the agroecology policy. Pia na Tanzania, even when Tanzania has an organic agriculture strategy, the National Trade Policy and the Agricultural Sector Development Program, they are also inhibiting. So we have those national policies that are, yes, recognizing agroecology, but again, they are conflicting.
We have lost you again.
Then there are existing policies again that focus largely on industrial agriculture, and that limits the promotion of agroecology. So, honorable members, give me 5-6 minutes to share on the challenges that are facing agroecological produce trade in the ESC. The first is the prevalence of high export tariffs. Our findings revealed that, for example, if I am to export 2 to 5 tons of cereals across the border, on all the borders that we looked at, Rusumo, Namanga, Busia, Mpondwe, Tarakea, a trader has to navigate different trade agencies. For example, inspection fees, testing charges, approximately, for example, to $200 per consignment. So you find that these tariffs actually constitute 10% of the consignment value. And that creates a very big challenge for SMEs. Also, for example, we realize that Tanzanian authorities do levy 1,000 Tanzanian shillings per liter on dairy products that are coming from Kenya, which is actually 19 times higher than the one that Tanzania applies to similar locally produced goods. So we are still having tariffs which are imposed by main partner states, which are affecting our trade. Then there is a very important issue, honorable members. You have all these past budgets to support the East African Community Secretariat in order to increase clearance of goods, especially customs clearances. But honorable members, there is still a big challenge that there are delays, very big delays in terms of clearance of products. You find that at Busia, for example, you take between 1 and 2 hours to clear. That is, if I am having a consignment, these are not big consignments, honorable members, no. This is, for example, if I am a small-scale trader with my goods below $2,000, which is recognized under the Simplified Trading Regime, and instead of using the Panya routes, I decide to use the formal routes, which the ESC is asking for. At Busia, they take between 1 and 2 hours before they can cross. So, and again, they face issues of extra fees, simplified customs or custom origin certificate, and multiple permits. At Namanga, products like, sorry, my internet again. At Namanga, products like maize, potatoes take between 1.5 to 3 hours. The only exceptional ones, honorable members, were Gatuna and Rusumo, where they take between 30 to 60 minutes clear. But even for this, it is because of the low consignments of trading between the two countries. So there is a lot of delays in terms of clearance on borders. And so that's an issue that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, women were always, for example, saying, no, for me to have my perishable products and I spend 2 hours waiting to clear, why don't I rather take the Panya route? So again, Honorable Francine talked about sanitary standards. Honorable members, the issue of obtaining a certification to show conformity to SPS is very expensive. You find, for example, you have to pay a daily inspection fee of $250. You have to pay a pesticide residue analysis of $140 per sample. These are very, very expensive for traders who are really trading below 2,000 US dollars, and really needs to be looked into. So let me just give these last 2 slides on the recommendations. So there are challenges and specific proposals and the actors that could look into that. So, for example, there is a challenge of poor documentation and identification of agroecological produce. And this is why, honorable members, we did not give the exact statistics on how even no country has statistics on, for example, this is how much we trade in terms of agroecological products. We only used 35 participants on each border to do a sample and projection. So because of poor documentation and identification of agroecological products, we believe that we should call for a scaling up of participatory guarantee systems. My comrade Ruth will be able to clarify on that also in her presentation. And establish national directories of agroecological producers. If we have directories of organic producers, why not agroecological? It is possible. And the Secretariat of EAC could help governments and police organizations, again, working with civil organizations. We also have limited infrastructure, trade facilitating infrastructure, especially on border posts, like storage facilities, testing facilities, even marketing hubs. So it is in our proposal that the EALA should call for investment in public-owned cold storage rooms to support especially those partners, those traders that are dealing in perishable products. And also take a good example like what our partner Shiwakuta is doing, which is having territorial agroecological markets like in Kilombero there in Tanzania, in Arusha. A standalone section of agroecological producers. To me, I think we believe that when we have such exhibition centers, but also actual vibrant agroecological markets, it would be very helpful. But honorable members, this cannot happen without a regional policy on agroecology. We are grateful that EALA has already pronounced itself on the importance of having agroecology on its agenda, but we believe that it is important also that this is taken up with the Secretariat and partner states in order to start on the process of having a regional agroecological policy. And then lastly, we need to address the issue of high cost of certification, again through promoting participatory guarantee systems, because then if we are aware and if we are sure that this product is purely agroecological, there would be no need of, for example, requiring farmers to do tests of residues, pesticides, and chemicals. And lastly, this is the last one, two things. The issue of currency exchange risks and costly transactions, we believe it is important we finalize the implementation of the EAC currency harmonization and mobile money innovations. And in order to address the challenge of limited support to small-scale traders, we believe, honorable members, that the government's EALA and the Secretariat could work on supporting the retaining of trade information desk officers through integrating
We can't hear you.
because of my internet. Asanteni.
Okay, honorable colleagues, our brother Africa has finished with his presentation. We have another presentation we listen to, and then after that, we can now have a plenary to discuss the presentation. So the next presentation is from Dr. Millian Belay, is the General Coordinator of AFSA in Africa. And he could not be here with us. He's online because something had his ankle here, and he is at home doing presentation at home, and he was not able to come this way. So Dr. Millian, you are welcome. If you can hear us, please you go ahead with your presentation.
So honorable members, if there is any question. Oh, the other presentation. Okay. Mhm.
We were told there's one more presenter.
Yes, I heard. Mhm. Is the lady?
No,
It's online.
it's online. They are trying to show him.
Okay. So while you're waiting for the presenter to be ready, we allow Mheshimiwa Siranda to help us wake up. we can join him tomorrow morning to extend. Tomorrow morning we will join you to extend. Mhm. So, honorable members, I think now the presenter is ready. Karibu presenter. Dr. Million.
Hello?
Dr. Million, are you ready?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Do you see me? Hello?
Okay, karibu Dr. Million.
Do you hear me and see me?
I cannot see him, but we can hear him.
We don't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I see myself. I don't know why. Okay, I don't think we have a lot of time, based on the number of slides that I have. So do you see my slides? Hello?
Yes, we see your slide.
Okay,
Proceed.
thank you very much. As you can see, my name is Milion. I'm the General Coordinator of the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa. I would love to say that I'm very, very much happy to be invited, and I'm really sorry that I am not there with you physically. It's not the first time that we are interacting with EALA. Actually, Honorable Gideon and Honorable Francois are really working with us, and they are coming to our meetings and making a really, really great contributions. So I'm very, very much happy to
Dr.
be invited.
Million, you seem to
Yes.
be a bit far from the mic.
Oh, I'm very now.
Now it's okay.
Speak, then we.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry, yeah, I lowered my volume, that's why. Is it
Okay.
better now?
Yeah, you are better. You are better now. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. My greetings, Honorable Gudun. So who is AFSA? In short, it's a broad-based social movement. When we say broad-based, I'm talking about it's a network of networks. We have networks of farmer organizations, fisher folks, pastoralists, indigenous peoples, women, youth, faith-based institutions, consumer associations. It's the bigger civil society, so it's the largest social movement in Africa, and our members work in 50 of the 55 countries. Conservatively, we estimate our number to be close to 200 million. Food sovereignty is a guiding concept. I don't have time to explain, but it's not food security, but food sovereignty. And the reason we started AFSA is to create a loud voice in Africa on issues that matter for the continent. We have a General Assembly based on the membership. We have now 50 members. We have a board of seven. The recent boards, three of them are women. We have 18 staff. We have an office in Kampala, the head office, and we are registered in Senegal. These are the issues, the contextual issues that we work on. The Green Revolution narrative. What is a Green Revolution narrative? I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that. The worsening climate emergency and biodiversity degradation, what commonly called is the twin degradation in the world, erosion of culture, corporate control of our food system. That's why we always say that we are a movement, because we have to counter this. Even if urbanization is important, when it's not planned, it's also not good. It claims rural areas, it creates congestion, and food in urban system is mostly also not healthy. So the pandemics and conflicts are also our context. As we know, the COVID pandemic has really caused a lot of problems in Africa, and the conflicts, Russia and Russia conflict, Russia and Ukraine conflict, the cost of everything was high up. So we work on this context. We have actually 5 working groups. The first one is a working group. What do we mean by working group? Our members are divided into groups. They're very active in these groups. We wanted to ensure the involvement of our members in the issues that matter for Africa. So a group of our members are part of the Strengthening Farmers Management System, group of them integrating agroecology into climate policies, again, group of them community voice for land rights and healthy soils, and citizens knowledge and entrepreneurship for sustainable food systems. We have a new group on youth. The African youth have a new working group. This is a theory of change for AFSA. In the middle, you see African-led agroecological transition for food sovereignty. This is the core of the work of AFSA. If you really want to understand and question what AFSA is, this is it, African-led agroecological transition for food sovereignty. So we said we contribute to this by doing these 6 things around it. We mobilize evidence. We scale up agroecology initiatives. We work for policy change. We work for shifting narratives using our communication strategy. A vibrant grassroots movement is very much important. And finally, a self-sustaining network. We have to work also on ourselves. We work with 2 hands. On one hand, we resist. On the other, we provide solutions. We resist the control of our farmers' seeds by external actors, spread of GMOs and generated crops. We don't see any value in Africa accepting GMOs or generated crops. False solution for the climate crisis, including climate smart agriculture, carbon trade, these kind of things. Land, water, and other sources of grabbing. Control of food, control of our food system, and wrong narratives. What are these wrong narratives? I will come. So these are our solutions, promoting farmers management system. We are working with the African Union to promote that, increasing knowledge and practice for healthy soil and food. We have a big network in Africa actually working on improving soil and improving livelihood, which is very much important. Promoting African agroecological entrepreneurship. This is to answer the question, how can we use the force of the market to help us transition into healthy and sustainable food system? So we work on African agroecological entrepreneurship. Territorial markets, the small markets all over Africa are very much important. We promote that also. Integrating agroecology into climate policies. My Food is African campaign. This is a very big campaign in 11 African countries, but it's beyond that. On African food policy, we are hoping that we work with the EALA to help us push that. Educating or mobilizing the base and through communication. Yeah, so I'm going to the main meat of my presentation. Before I talk about agroecology, let's address what is not apparent. Most of the time, when we make some decisions, some policy decisions or strategical decisions, there are things which are under it. One of them is called a modernization theory. This theory says that societies progress through a series of stages from traditional to modern, mirroring the development trajectory of Western societies. This is under most of what our conversation and talk. So there's a linear progression of societies. from underdeveloped to modern. Economic development is considered as a precursor to social and cultural change, and the emphasis on the role of technology, capital investment, and industrialization. I am sure you are all familiar with this. So the same stance, they talk about agricultural revolution. You know, what is this revolution? Well, previously, there are four stages of this revolution. The first stage was hunting, gathering to farming. And the first crops were domesticated: wheat, rice, maize, barley, domestication of animals, and societal impacts, settlement, trade, and societal hierarchies. And the second agricultural revolution is crop rotation and fertilizers, mechanization, seed drill, mechanical repair, enclosure movement. This is from communal to individual in land ownership. Societal impact, rise of commercial agriculture and urbanization. Now, the third agricultural revolution is considered the green revolution. High yielding varieties, increasing use of synthetic chemicals, advanced machinery and irrigation systems. The societal impact is increased for production, environmental and social concern. You see, this is based on the modernization theory, from older to modern. Finally, the fourth agricultural revolution is using of precision agriculture, use of technology, data analytics, and optimized crop yields, and gene editing and advanced biotechnology, automation and robotics, vertical urban farming, agtech, and digital platforms. So, in our mind, in the mind of most of the world, and in most of Africans included, we have grown, we have developed when we reach at this stage. So what this actually does is it frames us, our minds, that the kind of agriculture that we are not doing is right. So there is a criticism to this kind of thinking. In African agriculture, food safety has meant pushing for industrial farming, chemical inputs, export crops, and processed foods as sign of progress. That's the biggest problem. And core assumptions: traditional farming is backward, modern agriculture is a path to development. That's the assumption. Western technologies, GMOs, fertilizers, machines are superior. Integration into global market ensures growth and food security. So what does this impact? What is the impact of this? The societal and cultural impact of this modernization theory, displacement of indigenous knowledge and food culture. This is because, we are inviting big mechanized farms into our system, and a lot of people will be displaced. So food cultures will be displaced, erosion of community-based systems and food traditions, because big farms need one kind of crop, either it is maize or soy or rice. Marginalization of smallholder farmers, especially women and health. Health crisis. Rise in ultra-processed food, UPF. I think we need to understand the importance of this, the critical significance in terms of health of this processed food that you get mostly in supermarkets. They are mostly called ultra-processed foods. Linked to non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and obesity, loss of dietary diversity and traditional nutrition sources, and exposure to harmful agrochemicals affecting farmers and consumers. Environmental is soil degradation, water contamination, biodiversity loss due to heavy use of synthetic inputs, greenhouse gas emissions from industrial agriculture, climate crisis, deforestation, and economic disruption are driven by large-scale monocultures and land grabs. So this is the result of the industrial agriculture. So now we go to the Green Revolution agenda. So where does it come from? Thomas Malthus, this one, the Malthusian theory. He is a 19th century economist, and he believed that population grows geometrically, meaning 2, 4, 4, 16, and food production arithmetically from 1 kilogram to the 10 kilograms, I mean, something like that, 1 ton, 2 ton. So that's arithmetic. Somewhere the two would meet. Population growth and production of food, which is called Malthusian catastrophe. And when that happens, there will be droughts. What is the solution according to Malthus? Slowing the growth of population. But Norman Borlaug came from the US and he came up with the idea of Great Revolution. No, we don't need to control population because food production can outpace population growth. Through what? Through Green Revolution. Adoption of new and improved varieties, application of new agricultural technologies, irrigation, mechanization, use of agrochemicals, modern biotechnology, meaning GMOs, and focus on few and market value crops. I'm sure you would see this in agricultural policies of your own government, probably. So what happened in India? This was practiced, the Green Revolution was practiced in India and in Mexico. So the Indian story is quite telling. It actually favored rich farmers who could afford high-yielding varieties, agrochemicals, machines, and irrigation. And the majority of the farmers were indebted. And the new monocrops, mostly rice and wheat to some extent, and also maize, they faced resistance to pests and weeds, and it resulted in ecological disaster. And orientation to cash crops does not necessarily mean that attention is given to domestic consumption. It resulted in nutrition and health crisis. I hope you know that the cancer train from one part of Punjab to another. There's a train going, and that train is termed the cancer train because most of the patients on that train are cancer patients, and it comes because of the Green Revolution agenda, and it resulted in cultural erosion. Actually, the diversity, when the diversity in your crops reduces, your culture will be affected. So cultural erosion and seed erosion are similar. This is a very important paragraph here. India's malnutrition crisis is severe, with over a third of children stunted, nearly 1 in 5 wasted, and 1/3 underweight. This has profound implications for public health, economic development, and for food policy priorities. This is in 2022-23, and the Green Revolution was in 1968. So the Green Revolution did not stop stunting, did not stop wasting, did not stop underweight. That's the message. So it doesn't work. Africa, let's come to our continent. The narrative. Oh, over reliance on the role of business. Let's invite business to feed Africa. You can look at CADAP, and mostly it's let's invite the business. So for that, we change our policies and institutions. We give them practical and technical support and infrastructural support. And again, traditional farmer seeds variety and systems are not high yielding, are genetically inferior, cannot feed the world. We need to breed new seeds with technology to feed Africa. I'm not sure whether you know the VAX initiative, Vision for African Crops and Soil. This was the agenda of digitalizing our seeds. Land should be given to those who can use it, and these are mostly the large scale producers. This is what has exacerbated land grabbing in Africa. So focus on producing enough calories in an economically efficient way to achieve food security, and therefore must use primarily the highest potential crops, mostly maize. That's where the focus on maize comes from. And innovation and useful knowledge comes only from science driven by experts, and the knowledge of farmers is ignored mostly. And technology will always find or come up with a solution to fix any emergent problems. Looking at technology as God. Technology is important, but You know, who owns it, what kind of knowledge, technology is very much important. And finally, most of the solutions are prepared in capital cities, you know, because the narrative it is possible to develop standardized one size fits all solution to be applied and replicated widely, you know, harmonization of seed laws, the Africa, I mean the I mean ARIPO in Agra, you know this. So we have experienced green revolution in Africa under the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa. You know, the Agra was founded in 2006, $1 billion funding. The majority of the funding is from the Gates Foundation. The goal of Agra was to double productivity, double income, have food insecurity for 30 million smallholder farmers. But African governments have also supported it. So it was applied in all of these countries. What is the result? No evidence of 100 increase in productivity. We did research and we sent it to Agra and they couldn't refute this. Maize, only 29% has increased maize. Overall staple yield is only 18%, not doubling. Subsidies expanding land planted to favor crops, not yields. There is no yield increase, it's only increasing the agricultural land. No evidence of income doubling. No evidence of improved security, especially food security. And it resulted in erosion of critical African crops, general stagnation or decline in farmers' varieties. Cassava, 6% decline. Root tubers, 7% decline. Sorghum, 3% yield growth. Groundnut, 23% decline in yield. So that didn't work in uh, in Africa either. So what we are proposing is what we call agroecology. Green revolution doesn't work. The whole world now is going to is agreeing on agroecology. What is it? It's basically the study, design, and management of sustainable food systems. Yeah? The application of science to ecology. And agroecology respects the knowledge of people. It's integration of the diverse knowledge of systems generated by food system practitioners. And social movements are important because we have to debunk the narrative. So basically, it's a science, it's a practice, and it's a social movement. So, and it says that diversified agroecological food systems encompass wide range approach with a clear direction of travel. This diagram, I've taken it from Uganda. As you can see, you see the diverse crops here, you know, well, with the lady here. If you see the whole picture, you'll find that there are over 17 varieties of food here. When one food is finished, the other food is ready. Diversifying same farming landscape, replacing chemical inputs with ecologically based materials, practicing processes, optimizing biodiversity, and stimulating interactions between different species as part of a holistic strategy to build long-term fertility, healthy agroecosystems, and just livelihoods. This is a very, very important diagram here. Very important. On your left side, you see 5 levels of agroecology. It's a diagram by Professor Glisman. And 0 level, no agroecological interaction. Level 1, increasing efficiency of industrial inputs, which actually means that if you are applying a lot of agrochemicals, significantly reducing that. This is where actually climate smart agriculture is, because it doesn't say let's stop using what do you call it, agrochemicals. So level 1. Level 2 is you stop using agrochemicals, you use biopesticides, bioinputs. That's level 2, and it's at the farm level. Mostly when people talk about agroecology, they are talking about this level. Level 3 is the design of the bigger landscape. the bigger landscape, agroforestry falls into this. When you go to level 4, then you bring in consumers. Consumers are very much important. So there is a relationship between consumers and food producers. Level 5 is what, food system transformation. Everybody talks about food system transformation. That is what agroecological transformation is. In about 2017, 16, the FAO has commissioned high-level and highly respected scientists to come up with the principles of agroecology. So they have identified elements, 10 elements of agroecology. What are these? Efficiency, recycling, diversity, synergies, resilience, circular economy, culture and traditions, correlation of knowledge, human and social values, and responsible governance. And they have asked the high-level panel of experts on food security and nutrition to come up with principles. How can we make this implementable? And they came up with 13 principles of agroecology. What is very much interesting in this diagram is at the lower level, you see input reduction, soil health, animal health, recycling, economic diversification. Higher level, agroecology talks about social agenda, like participation, like fairness, like social value and diets, like connectivity, like land and natural resource governance. So that's where the big difference with organic agriculture, climate smart agriculture, regenerative agriculture. That's where the difference is. Agroecology is in its social side of life is also reflected very much. Agroecology is a science in all of the scientific fields that you see on the screen: ecological design management, ecological restoration, social ecological resilience, ecoeconomy, political agroecology, social processes, sovereignty, critical analysis. So when we say that agroecology has three legs, one is practice, one is science, one is social movement. These are some of the scientific studies that are going on. So the key findings, we did our research on agroecology. It increases productivity, increases income, improves soil. It's very good for climate mitigation and adaptation because it sequesters carbon. Food is culturally appropriate, increase crop diversity, and importantly, food production distribution is under the control of farmers. That's where food sovereignty also comes in. And now it's becoming a trend to work on agroecology. It's entering higher education systems, as you know. More and more governments are. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we are following.
Okay, so sorry, yeah. I'm about to finish. More and more governments are endorsing it. Scientific institutions are increasingly engaged with it. Donor committees is engaged. And all the donors, like the German government, the Swiss government, the French government, Swedish government, most governments are for agroecology now. Philanthropy, almost all NGOs working in Africa now are focusing on agroecology. FAO, IFA, WFP, UNDP, UNEP are working on agroecology. Social movements are working on agroecology. So appearing in international conventions like United Nations Climate Change Convention, the Desertification Convention, Biodiversity Convention, it is there. So what is the difference between climate smart agriculture, conservation agriculture, and agroecology? Says climate smart agriculture, it focuses to increase agricultural productivity while adapting to mitigating the effects of climate change. It's productivity based. It emphasizes use of technology, improved seed varieties, precision agriculture, and sometimes genetically modified organisms. And the aim is to address challenge posed by climate change but it also involves large-scale technological solutions, you know. And this is promoted by organizations like World Bank. But sorry, it's it's mostly framed around productivity and market integration. That's what is agroecology. I mean, climate smart agriculture. Conservation agriculture emphasizes minimal soil disturbance, permanent soil cover, and crop rotation. And it focuses on sustainable soil and water management. And it's an NGO agenda mostly, even though most of them are going now migrating to agroecology. Resource conservation. If I take this into the Glisman's 5 level, probably conservation agriculture will be level 2 of agroecology. But socioeconomic realities of smallholder farmers are not considered by conservation agriculture. But agroecology emphasizes ecological principles in farming, integrating traditional knowledge in local ecosystems. This is a holistic approach. That's the difference. And that promotes sovereignty, biodiversity, local resilience. It also emphasizes local control over food systems and deeply rooted in the principles of food sovereignty and empowerment of smallholder farmers. It also opposes the commodification of agriculture, advocating for systems that prioritize social equity and environmental justice. I already said that. Key differences are mainly power and control. CSA often influenced by multinational corporations and international institutions. I'm not exaggerating. There is also a group established in 2017, which is called Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture. Monsanto, Bayer, and are part of it. And it's the CA, Conservation Agriculture, is supported by donors, but agroecology emphasizes local control. Market and resource dependence can increase dependence on external technology inputs. This is climate smart agriculture. But climate conservation agriculture aims to conserve resources but not fully address local labor and economic constraints. But agroecology prioritizes autonomy, biodiversity, and reducing reliance on external inputs. The synergy, while this approach shares goals of sustainability, the political economy shapes their implementation. CSA influenced by global markets and corporate interests. CA encourages resource conservation, but external general agenda. Agroecology challenge corporate control and promotes systems that center on farmers' knowledge and community resilience, pushing for a transformation of global food systems. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to talk so much. Thanks. I hope you see my face now. Hello, do you hear me?
It is working.
Do you hear me? If you have questions, if you have time, I will be happy to respond.
Our system has been off, so we can hear you. Thank you very much, Dr. Million, for that insightful presentation. All members have followed it to the end. That shows a great interest in the plenary that is coming. So you'll be there and listen to comments and questions, and we'll be expecting some answers from you, from members. And also, like our brother Africa, I hope is available. Now it's time for honorable members to now intervene in terms of discussing the two presentations. So I hope honorable members, when you are given the opportunity, You will now exhaust your questions for the two presenters. So you direct your question to Africa, and then you also direct your question to Dr. Millian. Then they will record, and then we shall see the way forward. If the questions are many, they will have to answer and then come back to the next lot of questions. So, honorable members, I invite the questions. The Honorable Dr. Gladness, Honorable Dr. Wada, Honorable Garang on that side. 3, I will take 3 this side, Honorable Ambassador Fatuma, Honorable Caroline, and Honorable Dr. Sankok. So now, okay, you will be the 4th one on this side. So we'll start with Honorable Dr. Gladness. We are done with her. We will go back to Honorable Garang, Honorable Dr. Wada, and then we come to this side. Thank you. Okay, you are coming next. Okay, no problem. Honorable Dr. Gladness, Honorable Dr. Wada, Dr. Garang, and then we move to my right side. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Honorable Gideon. And we really appreciate our experts for the 2 informative presentations. Mine might not be maybe questions, but I would like to share how I understand, okay? That is, we all agree that agroecology is the way to go. It is very, very important. So what I'm missing is that I would like to get kind of case studies which show the successful transition, because currently we have already invested so much, yeah, on our farming practices, in our research, in our agricultural systems, in the institutional frameworks which are actually governing the agricultural systems. So this means that if we have to have this change, first of all, I believe it has to be a phased one. The approach should be phased, like you go phase by phase, incrementally. So I will appreciate if we get to understand first, if there are cases, successful cases of change on transition to agroecology. And here, if we are talking about cross-border trade, or we are including trade, then I'm also interested to see how it has contributed, for example, to the volume, because trade is about volume. And as we understand, in agricultural systems, we are still struggling with productivity. So I feel we have, we need to understand, like if we look at it as trade, from the trade perspective, where are these cases which showed like they had the successful transition, and at the same time, we are seeing the positive effect on trade. And what exactly did they do? Like, we want to understand, because it must be a phase approach. So what is this model or the approach that we think will be suitable in our context? I'm saying this because sometimes some of the initiatives, they might look appealing, but if we are not going to address the needs in the market, they might not be accepted maybe at the pace that we would wish, even if you legislate, okay? And for this case, I'm trying to look on the farmers as business people. When we were in Kampala, we visited cases of agroecology, the practitioners. And one question was about the scale, so that they become competitive in the business. So we want to, whether we want to legislate, whether we want to have policies, I think it's very, very important we understand the business objective of these people. So I will appreciate if our presenters will help us to know, like those successful contexts, like the approach, but at the same time, it's good to know also what are the risks associated, for example, with the transition. Yeah, like it's not like everything is does not have any risk. Yeah, that we must assume. So this is something that I really want to understand, so that if we as legislators, we have to think about it, like the first presenters brought issues of harmonization of policies and all these kind of things. Yes, they are different. They are conflicting because even the objectives might be different. Yeah, different countries, they have their own priorities. They have their own targets. If we look on agriculture as a transformative sector. So I would like to know more on those particular aspects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our two honorable members who are co-sharing, and I would like to thank Dr. Million, if I pronounce the name right, for this very wonderful presentation. Of course, none of us will disagree that agroecology enhance healthy feeding, protect the environment, fight climate change, and all these things, because you know, I'm one of the people who are so involved in climate change, and I know that agroecology comes as one of the solution. But also, as is off, huh?
There's something on your screen.
Mia, I am here.
Okay. You can hear us?
I'm listening. No.
Yes, let me continue. My concern is that, you know, for us to bring agroecology to be on the scale of productivity, as you said, that it increased production. I'm really not very sure about this because, you know, agroecology is mainly made for community farming, sustaining small farmers, and also community, like consumption for community. So how can we now take it to the level of big productivity so that it can compete with the other big scale farming, you know?
I think we have a problem.
I think he's hearing.
I hear you. I hear you very well.
Okay.
Yes, he's there.
Okay.
He comes.
I hear you very well, yeah.
Dr. Million, that's really my concern, because as we advocate about agroecology, everything is perfect. It's okay, integrated farming. You have your animals here, you have your farm, you have your fertilizers from them. But how can we upgrade it to very large scale so that productivity be there and we are able to trade? As you can see that we have also the chair of communication, trade and investment here. So how can we elevate it to the level of investment and productivity to farmers so that we can sell it to them? Because when we talk now, it's about cash crops, it's about other things, not just the consumable products which can be consumed by a farmer, his household, and the small community where they're involved. Thank you very much. Because these are the example which we have seen, and these are, I don't know if there are very big farms of agroecology which really produce very well in our region, not outside the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable two chairs. And I would like also to thank the presenters. I got two questions. My first question goes to the first presenter, Africa. You said you took a sample of 35 farmers at each border, and they produce agroecological products. But you didn't go to where they actually produce to be able to identify clearly whether these were actually produced under those conditions. So how did you confirm, clearly identify that these were actually produced under those conditions of agroecology? That's my question to the first presenter. My second question goes to Dr. Milan Ali. And I know because you have very good education, you are a scientist, I'm going to handle this question as a scientist as well, not as an MP. Now, we are talking about agroecology. This is not my first time to learn about it. There was an activity we did in Kampala. You know, there was a team that came. We were trained in theory. We also had to visit one of the farmers outside Kampala, which is a lady, you know, and she is actually doing extremely well. I've never seen a person like that. We were all impressed. But again, if you look at it in theory, essentially, agroecology is a good concept. And probably in a much smaller scale, it can work. But sincerely speaking, I doubt under a large production, huge scale production, it won't work. First of all, most of the farmers who are actually trying this concept are facing extremely difficult conditions in terms of managing pests, diseases, and weeds. Take for instance, last year actually I imported avocado seedlings from Kenya to South Sudan. I planted them myself on one of my small farms. Now, after planting them, they were actually affected by fungicide. Fungi. They were affected by fungi. I tried all means, struggling to figure out what the problem was, but I discovered that the only solution was to find fungicide to apply to them so that they grow well. I did do that. I bought fungicide, applied to them, and they improved. Now, if I didn't do that, they were not going to survive. And I'm not the only person actually facing that problem. There are so many farmers who do not actually understand when such things happen to them. And they would actually resort to applying synthetic chemicals to be able to reduce the problem. If they don't do that, then they will actually lose. They will incur losses. They are buying seedlings or they're planting crops, and because they are being told that this concept will work and it isn't working in practice, they will lose everything, you know, and that's meant for their survival. So what I'm saying, what I'm requesting you, Dr. Ari, to do, in your presentation, what we all saw was just some sort of, you know, explanation, abstracts, and there was no concrete empirical information, data presented. For instance, as a scientist, what do you need to do if you want to prove to people that this is a new concept and you want it to be adopted? You need to do a comparison. You need to have two plots, two farms. For instance, you use one farm, you know, for growing the same crop, but you are using a different treatment. For instance, agroecology, without using synthetic chemicals or inorganic fertilizers, you know, and then you do other farm like that, so that when you come out, you should be able to tell us, okay, this is what was produced under the traditional or the older way of doing it, the oldest way of doing it, but this is what is actually being produced under agroecological condition, so that we understand, you know, with the data, this is really working. But the way you were explaining it to me as a scientist, I can't believe you that what you are telling me is right, or it's actually working, because you have not presented the data that is comparing the 2 or 3 plots over a period of 5 years or 10 years. That would actually convince us what you are telling us is true. So essentially, in principle or in theory, agroecology is working, but in practice, I doubt. Thank you.
Now we go to the other side before we come back to the left side. Yes, Mheshimiwa Ambassador Fatuma.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wanted to start by thanking AFSA
for organizing this important capacity building for us, so that we can learn more about agroecology and also other important aspects of agroecology. I'm also interested more in food sovereignty, and I think that will take me to the first question I want to ask Dr. Milioni. I hope I am million like 1 million. Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to get more explanation on food sovereignty because it's also part of your name, the name of your organization. And looking at Africa and where we stand, especially when we have external shocks like during the COVID-19 pandemic, but also the war between Ukraine and Russia, how the wars happen in Europe and affect Africa in terms of us being able to feed ourselves. We are getting wheat from there, fertilizers. And then there is this concept of food sovereignty. I just wanted to know from your perspective, what can we do really to ensure that our people are able to feed themselves? How can we utilize agroecology? Because the people we are representing as members of parliament, the 350 million citizens of East Africa, majority of them are ordinary citizens. Many are farmers doing traditional farming system. So I'm anxious to know from your perspective, how can we utilize agroecology, but also this concept of food sovereignty to move from theory and translate this knowledge into action? And how do we train our farmers? Are there like some best practices where you can have demonstration and strategies so that this technology can reach out to as many African farmers as possible? And we're able to come up with another revolution where Africans are able to feed themselves, but we also have enough for exports on the market, not carrying primary commodities, but rather commodities that have been improved and that have value addition, and you can be able to fetch a lot on the market. The question I have for Africa, I was curious to know when the survey he shared with us, especially across East Africa, we still have so many tariff and non-tariff barriers, especially on agricultural commodities. And I wanted to know whether this is a recent study, because some of those borders, when we visit them, undertaking oversight, we are informed that there has been improvement in terms of clearing goods. So when you talk of 30 to 60 minutes, 1 to 2 hours, and then you are talking about intra-EAC trade, it's challenging. So I was curious to know, when did you undertake this study? And in your view, do you think that sample is representative? Can we take it as a sample that represents East Africa? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Caroline, and Honorable Sankok, then Honorable Francoise.
Thank you. Thank you to both our honorable moderators and chairs. I also want to add my voice to my other honorable colleagues in thanking the two presenters, Africa and Dr. Milion. They were very, very informative presentations. Actually, when I was listening to Africa's in the beginning, I was asking, I actually thought I missed why he didn't talk. He just went into trade in agroecology without maybe not everybody has an understanding of what agroecology is. So it would have been good to have the first Dr. Millian's presentation first so that we are at par. I had some questions when I was listening to Africa's about the study, because he mentioned that the top 3 agroecological products that are traded. And then I saw it was the usual food we know: maize, beans, sorghum, in some cases, avocado, maize, Irish potatoes, beans, and cassava and maize. So I was wondering, we know that we've had these discussions. As he was presenting, that was at the back of my mind. I was saying, how do we know that they're agroecological products, since we know that maize has really been transformed. There's a way that there's so much hybrid maize in the market and all that. But then he also mentioned that what is being used to evaluate whether it's agroecological, it should meet at least 5 of the 12 principles, although I don't know which exactly those ones are. I think because you didn't have enough time to go through them. So in that case, again, I'll have to link the two in my question, because Africa ended with the recommendation after going through what the findings of the study and then the recommendations. He mentioned a very, very important recommendation, I think, which all of us here understood: the fact that whatever he's recommending is not possible without a regional policy on agroecology. I think that's why we need to understand and see how we can drive that part of what is needed. Especially when he showed that some countries have agroecological policies, but others do not have. Even those that are trading the agroecology products don't have the policies. But even those that have, there are other contradicting acts that kind of make it impossible to implement the policy or to promote agroecology. Now, back to you, Dr. Millian. Thank you really so much, because you took us through what agroecology is. And as you were giving us the information on the agricultural revolutions, the question that everybody has been asking still remains unanswered. Maybe it will take a long time to be answered, because it still comes back to the case that you make for agroecology is really strong. It is really strong when we look at the health aspects, the environmental aspects, all these things, because we are more and more conscious. But then the other strong case is the fact that you showed us how the so-called green revolutions and what they were promising to bring brought about more problems, or did not bring those exact promises that had been promised from the green revolutions. Apart from maybe increased production or production at scale, you've shown us that it's not really that much. You showed us the statistics. So even when we are telling you that we are doubting whether agroecology is going to bring about that increased production, manage to produce at scale, we are doubting it. But you've shown us that even the green revolutions themselves, wherever they were promoted in India, did not bring about the results. We think they did. But you also showed us that large corporations, even the World Bank, has been behind all of these things. But then you've also shown us again that now we have FAO, we have also philanthropies, the same philanthropies which were promoting green revolution. Some have switched to agroecology. Now, my question still now, those the rest were, I was trying to lead to the question, which I'm also trying to frame into my mind. My question is, if World Bank is not yet behind agroecology, and it's still, but it's promoting, yes, climate smart agriculture, conservation agriculture. The difference is not so big, except what the last slide, I think, where you were showing the difference in power and something. So I'm asking, how are you navigating? How are you navigating this with the World Bank? I mean, with those behind, against, those against and those for. How are you navigating this? And how do we help? Or we can get into this. I don't know whether my question is coming out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's try to be brief so that we give more time to the presenter to give more explanation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairs, the co-chairs, and thank you very much, the presenters. It was a very insightful presentation. And one comment that came out was from the first presenter on how efficient two borders are, that is Katuna and Rusumo. And I just recognize that it have one single denominator, that is Rwanda. The rest of the borders take around 2 hours, 3 hours, apart from two borders that all of them are in Rwanda. So I want first of all to congratulate Rwanda for being very efficient in this particular trade of agrological products. The second question is to Dr. Million. Dr. Million, surely, as Dr. Garang had asked, what is the difference between a tomato produced agrologically and the one that was produced on the face of it? If you hold the two of them, because I've not heard you talk about a lab that you have been using to recognize which one have been produced agroecologically. So how do you know them from the face of it? The second question is, we have been importing, net importers as Africans of food. Despite our large landmass that is very productive, we have the best climatic condition in the world. But still, countries that experience winter, some of them as long as 8 months, only having 4 months of production, still export food products to us. Can it boil down to how we have been using agroecological production? And now you want us to continue producing when the population have grown. If we cannot feed, we could not feed our population when they were few. Now the population have grown. In East Africa, it is 350 million people. Probably 20 years ago, it was around 150 million people. And we are still not been able to feed them. And we have been the only continent that have been producing food agroecologically. Can it boil down to this agroecologically production of food that we need to go to even what do you call? Biotechnology and genetic production of food? For us to be able to feed our population, after all, they have to be fed. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Francoise.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairs, for the opportunity. I would like on the onset to appreciate first and foremost the presenters, but starting from the coordinator, Dr. Million. I used to call him Billion because of the huge work AFSA is doing globally. It's not even just across East Africa or across the continent, but globally. And this is for a noble cause. As the former chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Tourism and Natural Resources of EALA, and the member of that committee for 5 years, I have come to learn that this is really a culminating lesson for us to shift from industrial agriculture or production of food to this one, organic food, agroecologically grown by our own farmers, because they have been appealing through ESAF, through various NGO, ABN, for instance, that as members of parliament, we advocate for the farmer-managed seed system. And we got a chance to have agroecology through a motion, first of all, capacity building, a motion, and AFSA intervened after having heard from our capacity building and the motion that was passed. And our intention is to take agroecology as a strategic priority in the community. So this is known globally. It's not just here at East African community. Maybe what we're lacking here, after we have heard from the validation study, I got a chance to be part of the preliminary findings that happened in Kenya. And I recall that the recommendation that was given as members of parliament were to ask them to make sure they include back home the ministries in charge of commerce. For the case of Rwanda, it's called Minicom. Others, they have the names. To make sure the findings are really kind of approved by government, by the Council of Ministers. Once the findings come in this assembly, we can support them knowing they are really from the grassroots. But as the eyewitness, what I can say, I also got a chance to visit farmers here in Tanzania on my own, because I wanted to know from the research part of it, I'm doing it personally, what really is going on at the field. I met with an organization called Tabu here in Tanzania. So they are training farmers to shift from these harmful pesticides and biofertilizers that are killing many of our citizens. We don't know, this is cancer, you know, we are talking about diabetes, you know, some of them are the cause of the food we eat from the harmful pesticides. But what I discovered, being brief, is that people are coming from abroad. Students, masters, coming to learn from here in Tanzania, in Arusha. It's not far. Imagine. So we thought this is just, you know, the case for Africans. But they are coming because they don't have fields that are teaching agroecology produces and how it can be traded globally. So I think it's a call for us to appeal to our governments, because what we lack now, Honorable Ahel, I really appreciated your experience. When we talk from experience, part of it, we are really open. You know, the way you got those fungus for avocados you grown, because the intention was not to grow them agroecologically. If you had the prior plan to grow them agroecologically, you should have also put measures that those fungus are not there, because they have measures they put. They grow like what we call weed management crops by like a soil covering, so that the soil can remain moisturized and also to avoid the weeds. That is one of the techniques they are using. Then they are also using techniques of growing other plants that are like a pest repellent. They don't go up to the crops they are growing up, because they are like preventing pests to enter to the crops. Once they use biopesticides. They are there. They also exist. But at the stage where we are, we need to go extra mile to make sure we are, you know, like customized also to the biopesticides, the biofertilizers, and start to appeal to our leaders for appropriate policies, because we have in our countries back home initiatives that, like in Rwanda, they have ROAM. We have got someone, a young lady behind there coming from ROAM. ROAM is Rwanda Organic Agriculture Movement, but there are others across East Africa, even in Kenya. They are now advanced. So as I wind up, I would appeal that we support farmers because they have been appealing for us as a parliament to make sure we initiate a regional law that we will support. And what we need as a conclusion is to ask our governments, respective governments, to invest in both, like Honorable previous speakers said, to compare on one side, growing agroecologically, growing industrial crops, and then we will compare prices or outcomes, but we have to invest in both as we move forward as a transitional going to agroecology produce. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Allow me to request. Dr. Miriam has another meeting. Sorry. He's asking if it is possible. He tried to respond to those questions. Then tomorrow, he will come back for another round of the specific or particular questions to be addressed to him.
Yes, a minute.
Yes.
He's actually sharing another meeting that has started has started a few minutes ago, and his whole request is that he can take his questions, and tomorrow he will make a comprehensive response to all the questions, and for those that have not yet been asked, because we have a session tomorrow. That is his request. Yeah.
So now they ask all questions?
No, the members can still ask questions tomorrow, and then he will answer them all. That is a request he's putting forward. Yeah, you reserve the question for tomorrow, and he carries this one with him. And then tomorrow, because he has another session with us tomorrow, so he starts with the question with yeah. Okay, now, Dr. Million, members have accepted to release you for the other meeting. And then tomorrow, you can now come and answer these questions and more questions to come. Because this is a real capacity building and members need to have proper understanding. We don't need to rush it. Yeah. Thank you, but I think Africa can answer his part so that tomorrow we'll be expecting from Dr. Million himself. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Gideon. Thank you very much. Thank you. Excellent questions. I really love all of the questions.
Requesting some of us who came a bit late, in case they have the written presentation, so that we can be able to read through. Then we have questions to ask tomorrow.
Very good. I think that one we are asking Ruth and their colleagues to share with us the presentations so that members who came late can also be able to read through, and tomorrow we can have a real interaction. Yeah. Yeah, they can. They will do it with Elizabeth and Winnie. Yeah, and Joyce maybe. Yeah. Thank you. We can now receive answers from Mr. Africa. So, Dr. Million, you can now go for the other meeting.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I will come tomorrow morning. I will speak to Ruth for the proper timing. Thank you. I will send my presentation also.
Kindly send your presentation because we need to share it with the members for more for further clarification and questions for tomorrow.
Okay, I will send it right away. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Africa, are you with us? You can come and help us to respond to questions addressed particularly to you.
Okay, Ruth is there. Yes, Ruth, if you are the one answering on behalf of Africa.
Yes.
And then you use this podium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, honorable members, and for this opportunity. I'm here to simply answer the questions that were directed to Africa. And then, like it has promised, tomorrow, Dr. Million will have the opportunity to respond to the questions, which were the most questions that were received. The first question was in terms of the 35, the sample of 35 at each border, and also how did they know that the products were agroecological if they didn't go to the farmers? And during his presentation, he said they followed the product from the border to the farmers. And when they followed that, they used the principles of agroecology, the 13 principles of agroecology, and made sure that any product they were following was ticking off at least 5 of the 13 principles of agroecology in order to consider that product as agroecological. So they followed the product all the way to the farmers in order to highlight that as an agroecological product. And then when was the study conducted? The study was conducted beginning December 2024 and was concluded in April 2025. And that's when it was validated in Nairobi. Now, with you, you have the detailed study, the big book that you have. Then we have the abridged version of the study, the green small booklet, and then you have the policy brief, that's the maroon booklet. So the abridged version highlights most of the presentation that Africa made to make it easier for you to go through for our discussions. We can bring more. We have many copies for anyone who didn't receive. We can bring that. Those are the questions I noted for Africa, and more responses will come through tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Okay, honorable members, I don't know whether it is really fair to conclude the meeting when your co-chair is not available. So okay, thank you. We have really had this day long, and we really appreciate you for your maximum attendance and attention. This was really exceptional. It means seriousness for us to take our community forward with regards to food and nutrition, and thinking of the source of food, how we produce, how we control, and how we maximize the opportunity we have in terms of land and also policies. So thank you very much. Tomorrow, we are having that special sitting that has been announced by the Right Honorable. It will be done first in the morning, 11th. Then we have discussed with the clerk and the speaker. So he went after closing that he knows what time will be spent in that special sitting. And then after that now, he will now open the floor for us all. He will be available for us to go to the next phase of this interaction together with him tomorrow after that special sitting. So we may have the whole of the morning from 8 to 10. That is, we are preparing for the 11 special sitting. Then our sitting with AFSA now will come after the special sitting. Yeah. Yes, it will be. It will not reach afternoon. We will start it from there, and then we go for break again. Then we come back. Yeah. Yeah, we will probably do it in the afternoon, but we'll confirm it in the sitting. We'll make sure our AFSA colleagues would be updated throughout that morning. They will understand why we have a special sitting tomorrow. So they will also stand with us in that regard. So thank you, honorable members. You have a nice evening. For those of us who can manage to go and do some volleyball, we are going to be available at Garonaro, so that you stretch at least, and then tomorrow you come with a lot of energy. Thank you.
So,